Hi there, everybody. My name is Kate, and welcome to my channel, Trinergy Awakens Naturally. Let's talk about a little bit of timeline splitting or bifurcation. When we're feeling a rift, a drift, a split, a chasm, an explosion, something that feels like it is pulling apart and creating division. It is happening. We're in currently, this is a timeless message as always. However, currently we're in some pretty heavy duty full moon, the first full moon of 2024 energy. So it is intense, bubble guts and all kinds of stuff going on. It's intense. But what aside from my bubble guts and my disorientation a little bit, what I'm getting right now is that there is a huge splitting of energies. There are splits, bifurcations, I know, in some people's ascension paradigms. They have very specific times that bifurcations have happened and all of that, and I'm not referencing that. I'm referencing what I feel as I'm meditating and getting messages from ancestors and guides and stuff, is that we have a big bifurcation that's currently happening for many of us, or a splitting off of timelines. And I don't mean just, of people in their 3D bodies that we're splitting off from them. I mean, this caught me by surprise because it sounds really very harsh. So allow me to explain this with as much diplomacy as I can, that we have situations where people who are in their earth body, they're in an avatar, they're in skin, they're right here in 3D, just like a you and a me, that they are being split off from their ancestors, some of them, not all of them. In another video that I previously made, I explained that not all of our ancestors are the most ascended, and they may be skinless. However, they may not be working for the collective good. It's not a requirement that you lose your body and you automatically, get promoted, or it's not a privilege that you automatically get promoted to, the upper room. If we haven't earned that spot, it doesn't matter whether we have skin or not. So, we have to earn the position of ascending and moving up in our consciousness. And so just because there are ancestors in our lineage that seem like they would be, or they just passed away, and we consider that that would automatically promote us into the angelic realm or into the it does not. That's not been my experience. It does not. People and their energy, whether they're skinned or not, we still have to do our work. So what is happening right now, what I'm seeing and what I'm feeling and sensing, is that we have ancestors, that it's not a cruelty thing. There's an easy way that we could look at it and say, yeah, your ancestors dumped you because you're such a horrible individual and you're just screwing everything up, blah, blah, blah. You're a shame and an embarrassment to our lineage. It's very easy to say it in such a way. And let me say it in a way that's really more accurate for what the team is that's talking to me and explaining it to me, is that if if we have people who are walking around on the planet that have ancestors that are not working for the collective good, that's already a problem. So those are, that's the whole collective of physical 3D people plus their lineage that I'm not talking about. I'm talking about ancestors that are in the realm of being able to help their 3D family member, or there's someone in their lineage. They're able to help them. However, if a person here on earth continues to deny, continues to refuse to receive the guidance or acknowledge where their behavior or where their lineage behavior or their generational curse or any of that stuff is still really dominating, or is still really abusing, is still really clinging to old paradigm, those people that are perpetrating that and continuing to harsh down on those old paradigm structures that are falling away, the ancestors, it's not that they refuse to help them, that, oh, you're such an embarrassment, what are you doing? In those lower realms, you might find some of those human attributes. However, the more ascended an energy is, the less human attribute it's going to have. That's anthropomorphization, and we do a lot of it. We assign a lot of human activity to stuff that isn't human or never has been human. And if it was human, it left and got better at what it's doing. As far as what I want informing me, that's not the case for every single energy source that we can be listening to. And the energy sources that are ancestors for people that really are those that I don't want to hear what you have to say, there is nothing for you to say, or they just absolutely don't acknowledge that there's anything in the non 3D, that spirituality is just dumb and there's nothing, this is a free for all here and I can abuse and do whatever I want to. That the more ascended part of those ancestral lines and those lineages, they all have some guiding force up the chain of command somewhere that is a very high vibrational to guide that whole thing through the ascension process. Wherever it stops short, though, is right there where the limit of resources ends. That people oftentimes say, well, angels can't do anything unless you ask them for help. And what I've received on that is that it's not quite like that. It's not quite as mundane or quite as petulant or human attribute as that. It is that if we're not at a vibrational level where we'll be able to hear that guidance, or we don't really truly have that connection with that vibrational field, how can we really receive? That would be like expecting to get a message or a phone call or something, and the person on the other end doesn't have the correct phone number, or they're trying to call on a radio instead of a phone. They're using a CB radio instead of a phone. It's a line of communication, however, it's not compatible. You can't interface that. There's no way to do that. And so it's not really, there's a lot of that anthropomorphization that I talked about, where we go, well, your angels are just standing around going, if only they'd ask for help. And then people are left confused with, well, I begged for help and I didn't get any, so that's a bunch of horseshit. There's no such thing as angels or God or anything else sacred, however people identify it. It turns into more than just a test of faith. It turns into, what do I have to believe in? That's just stupid. And really, it's a misunderstanding of how it works, that I couldn't possibly expect to hang with my ancestors if they are rising, if they are ascending, if they are choosing now that on Earth, we may or may not have done some really great stuff. The things I've been working with recently, they haven't been doing such great stuff. They did not do such great stuff. And it's okay, because we're looking at how can we move this around so that those curses, those generational themes and those contracts, how can we really shift this around that, you can find relief in that and actually help, your people as well. Well, it means that the people have to be willing as well, or they get left behind. Not that the ancestors aren't waiting anymore. There is no more waiting around. The time frame for this has sped up. And so, ancestors that could be guiding those in lower vibrational fields, they're not as accessible because they continue to rise. And the grunge, if it's not moving, if it's not interested in doing anything except sitting there and stagnating, then it means that we went from, having close communication to now I'm on a 5G network with a, up-to-date phone, and you're back there, clanking rocks together. And if we were both clanking rocks together and that was our connection, then we would hear each other just fine. But you're asking to tune into a station that you don't have the appropriate radio for, or the appropriate means, the vehicle for that transmission to come through. So it really, even though there's a splitting, it's not that our ancestors, our guides, or any part of this that is part of, not team evil, that's the higher vibrational, any part that is in high vibration and looking for healing, etc., that is always going to be able to inform every vibrational field below that, which is healing, right? But if those places are not responding, they're not listening, they're not looking, they will not open up a frequency for that to be heard. They will not open that channel, keeping their radio off. I'm not going to receive that. Then that split seems to look very barbaric and cruel. That how come my angels aren't answering? How come my ancestors don't want anything to do with me? And it can begin to feel like that if we used to have a lot of that support, many of those ancestors are moving on because the fun of, being energy terrorists or whatever we've been doing. I mean, we've all got it in our lineage, the good and the bad, right? The good, the bad, and the ugly. We've all got that somewhere in our lineage. We're not a pure society, and we never have been. So we all have something in there. It's just a matter of, how deep, dark, and dirty do we wish to continue being? And there are many ancestors that decided that, we've decided we really want to break free of these contracts, and we really wish to move on with our ascension process, and we can help our people better. It was just a misunderstanding that the way to help the ancestors to help their people is not to continue doing the old ways of an old paradigm that didn't work before. Retribution and violence and war and, getting even and getting lick backs and stuff. I hear it all the time. That's not how we're going to get that done. We do have, quite a bit of warfare activity going on. We have quite a bit of battle going on because people are battling their own egos, their own identification with what they consider good, bad, right, wrong, etc. We're all being challenged. It's like a Mercury retrograde in a 36-hour period or something, like everything that was ever horrible about your life or great or whatever, let's think about all of it right now, all at once. At least that's been how it is for me. And those understandings from the ancestors that this is not a cruel thing, 1111, this is not a cruel thing, this is not, not from the upper realms, not from the ascended realms. Anything to attach to earthly or human, attribute, that's not as ascended as it could be. And those energies really would like the freedom to move off of all of the earth karma, the earth debt, and the earth baggage, and earth is happy to be relieved of that debt and of that baggage because it isn't hers. So she transmutes as much as she can as a reasonable mother who understands that the children need to learn some discipline about how they do their lives. And so she has some that she can put in, and she's basically just allowing the system to move itself with humanity as she continues to move herself, and all of the energy supporting this at every level, every dimension, everywhere, that's working for the good of the entire collective, to include Earth, humanity, blah, 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 etc. All of that's working in unseen creative rooms and magic spaces all over the place to change dynamics and bring in support as we continue, to take in as many of the energies that want to be moving up and into that higher consciousness. They're going up in waves, and it's leaving behind humans and other energy sources too that don't want to do that yet, or don't want to do it at all, or think that they never will have to. So it can get a little bit froggy, and it can get a little bit freaky, and it can really make some bubble guts and some uncomfortable feelings. However, it's always we have a hard time imagining what it would be like to be under a system that wasn't punitive or nasty. That's because we're human, and we assume and build our assumptions of what other things are based on being human and what we would do. And we really, it's a good time to stop doing that, because 1313, the really great, honest, wonderful truth of it is that there's nothing in the ascended realms. The further you get away from that whole earth experience and stop, assigning all of the human attribute, there's nothing in those upper ascended areas that is human or would behave like a human. That's what makes it so special and so amazing. It is that it's a pure field. There's no way that it could be punitive. It's always working for our good. So it's really just a matter of, are you ready to go along with this river? Because the river is going this way. There isn't that, you don't change the river's flow. You just don't. You will go this way, or you will go that way, But one of those ways, if the direction of flow is that way, one of those ways is just a much simpler way to do that, a much easier way to do that. And if I'm struggling up that direction and my ancestors decided, oh yeah, we're going to do this, then that just keeps us further and further and further and further apart, and makes it not impossible to reach one another. However, it's going to make it really much more difficult. So swim upstream, or allow the flow to take you the other direction in the flow of creative genius, love, the creative edge of thought, the leading edge of thought. It's a beautiful place, right? It is. We have to let go of a lot of assumptions and a lot of old ideas that just no longer serve. And there's quite a bit of it that's turning right now and making rapid change, a lot in the ether and a lot in physical body, but there's just a lot of chaos everywhere. So good luck to you. I hope that this finds you well, and I hope that you enjoy your day, whatever part of the day you're in. And remember, get within your skin, because you're divine. It is absolutely fine. Take care of yourselves, and I will see you again next time. Goodbye, friends.